What's up, YouTube? My name is Phoenix, and I'm here playing Blacklight Retribution on the PlayStation 4. It's a great game if you haven't tried it yourself. It's a free download, so you really don't have any excuse not to give it a shot. But today I'm here to talk about something of a hot topic on the Blacklight forums lately, the light machine gun. Now, back in the beta, the light machine gun was a fun weapon to use, for sure, but post-beta, there have been some members of the community saying it's a little overpowered, and frankly, it's not too difficult to see why. Now, whether it is or not, I'll leave that call up to you. Before we get into the gameplay, let's take a closer look at the exact stats of the default assault rifle that everybody starts the game with, and the light machine gun itself, for comparison's sake. Now, of course, the default assault rifle is kind of the baseline weapon for every gun in Blacklight to be compared to. That is, 50 damage per round, 650 fire rate, and pretty standard spread and recoil across the board. So how does the light machine gun differ from this? Well, first off, it has higher damage per round, so it's usually faster to get kills on most health builds in the game. But most importantly, even though it has higher spread in all areas, the recoil is drastically lower. Like, this thing has almost no kick to it compared to what it was like in the beta. It's not laser accurate by any means, especially at longer ranges, but it will definitely get the job done if you know how to handle it. Just about the only major disadvantage that the light machine gun has when you compare it to an assault rifle is the longer reload time, which is immediately solved as soon as you slap an ARMCOM quick mag onto the weapon. But we've been talking about stats for too long, so let's just go ahead and try it out in the field. Now, something you'll notice in this gameplay is that the light machine gun has an immediate kick to it as soon as you start firing the weapon, and that makes sense for such a big, beefy gun. You know, you'd expect it to have really awkward handling, and in a sense it does, but not quite on the level you'd expect. It kicks immediately when you start firing, but after that it quickly levels out, so that if you just kind of stay on target with the center of mass on your opponent, it'll usually kill them before they can kill you. The higher damage that the light machine gun has is really good for this, especially if you bump it up to a 67 damage build as opposed to the regular 65 that you start out with. Now, with that 67 damage build, you're looking at 3 rounds to kill a 200 health opponent, the default that everybody starts with. If you find anybody, no matter what their health build, who has been injured and they've regenerated half of their health, you're only going to need 2 rounds to kill them. And even if you find one of those big, tanky 250 health builds, you're only going to need 4. Now, you compare that to the assault rifle build, even the higher damage builds that could go up to 55 damage, I think, you're still not guaranteed to kill some of the tankier builds with 4 rounds. That's part of the reason why I have a 226 health build. That's just enough to survive a high damage assault rifle. Now, when you combine the raw damage output that the light machine gun has with the thing I mentioned earlier about the recoil pattern and how it actually levels out the more that you keep firing, you have a really scary weapon, especially when you have 80 rounds in a magazine to just let loose at the general direction of your enemies, knowing that you're probably going to get a kill. Maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 or 5 if enough enemies have clustered up into a room together. Now, I think I should also mention that the LMG build that I'm using in this gameplay actually has higher recoil than the default one does right now. I bumped this weapon's damage up to 67 for reasons I've already mentioned. The spread is lower across the board. I just think that makes it a little more user-friendly, I guess. But the recoil is the price that I pay for that. So if you go and buy a light machine gun out of the marketplace, it's going to have less kick than this does. Use that information how you will. Now let's talk about the light machine gun's effective ranges. I know I've been praising the gun left and right this whole video, but I'd say it excels in medium range combat right now. I know, big surprise. Even though it has much lower recoil than you would expect it to, it's not going to be winning many sniper battles. I have gotten headshots with it across the map, but that's more of a fluke than an, oh, I'm going to aim at your head and then fire kind of thing. Now that being said, even in close range, it works surprisingly well as a hip-fire weapon. The move spread on this belt that I have right now is not that great. It's like 8 point something, I think, and the hip fire isn't that good even when you're standing still, but really just having so many bullets going down range at my opponent, combined with the high damage per round, usually ends up working out in my favor. So, you've been listening to me ramble about this for a while now, so I guess I should say this up front. Do I think the light machine gun is broken? No. Do I think it might be a little too strong for its own good? Maybe. Now, somebody from Zombie Studios has replied to one thread on the forum saying that they don't currently feel there are any weapons or items or anything like that in-game right now that are unbalanced enough to warrant attention. So we're probably not going to see anything tweaking the damage or the recoil on the light machine gun for a while. Now, does that mean they're never going to adjust it? I don't know. I have a feeling they're going to nerf it in some way down the line. Let's just hope they don't sit it into the fiery realms of oblivion. So what do you guys think? Do you think the light machine gun is overpowered as it is? Do you think it's fine? Or hell, maybe you want them to buff up its damage even more? I don't know, that'd be an interesting take on it. But until next time, guys, that's all I've got for you. Please feel free to hit that like button or maybe subscribe. Either would help me out a ton. And this is Phoenix, signing out.